What's up, ladies and gentlemen? It's Brendan and I'm BManX45, and today we're coming at you with another video. It is Friday, people, and you know what that means. We have our market analysis for the Digimon TCG like we do every Friday. We're here to talk about Digimon cards, prices in the market, what's going on in the game, and where we think trends are going to. This is going to be our last week to talk about BT24 as a set, because this is our week one prices after 1 week after release. We always do pre-release, release, and week one with main sets. So, and we honestly, it's going to be 2 weeks now, and we're going to be back to doing this again for EX11. So we got to get into it so we can get to other things. But I did pick out just a handful, just a few cards that I wanted to talk about before we talk about BT24 and you know how things are going right now. And so let's get into it. Let's talk about it, and let's see where the market is going. So if you enjoy this type of content, be sure to smash that like button, comment down below. We love to hear your thoughts. Subscribe to the channel and hit that bell for notifications so you don't miss a single minute of fun. And don't mind me, I'm a little stuffed up, not feeling that well, and unfortunately we just had a death in the family, so things have kind of been hard to get to, but I always try to do the market analysis every Friday morning like we said, so it's fresh and it's current data. So let's get into it. We're starting with Groundmon X-Antibody limited foil. The top deck, pretty much from the Oceania finals, was any deck with the Groundmon X engine. There was at least 4 decks using this engine. So we're going to see this go up in price right now. I think it's going to come back down because I think people are going to start thinking that it is a hit for the ban list. This is a card a lot of people thought would get hit last time but didn't. They hit other cards to get around it. We're seeing most recent sale 31, market price 34. Lightly played foils. You're at $30. This card's a little bit higher than it usually is. It usually sits between 25 to 30, and now it's about 30 to 35 is what you're looking at. We're not seeing the data right here right now, but I would say it would be trending upwards. Give this a couple weeks. I think once we're through the finals, they might do a ban list in March. So we might, about mid-February, this might start dropping because people will think it might be on the ban list. So they'll be trying to offload this and get rid of it for the highest price possible. So you'll start to see more copies on the market, which means you'll start to see prices drop a little bit for the people to get those sales. So that's my prediction here, especially with how well it's doing in tournament decks right now. So keep an eye out if you want your own copy of Groundmon X-Antibody. Sell right now if you want to get rid of it. Venusmon, we've talked about Venusmon a lot. I wanted to see where she has landed here. She was a lot higher, but we did get the new Venusmon from the Rise of Digimon set. The new alternate art of this, plus we got to see the new Venusmon from BT24, and I think it's starting to kind of claw away at the prices of this card a little bit. Still, I'd say this card is amazing, but you can see it's low market price, 22, most recent sale 40. That kind of makes sense. 40 is kind of where this has usually sat comfortably for a long time, and you can see right there it's between 40 and 50 are all the copies on the market. I don't think this is going to go back up. I mean, I have to wait to see if there's like a Jupitermon deck that plays this that's really good, or a Homerus deck that plays this and just locks down your opponent turn after turn. So yeah, no, it just depends on, everything. So let's see what else but if we look back here, there's cheaper copies of it. Obviously, you can play, the premium heroines one is only 15, 7 for the super rare version of that. So it is affordable now compared to where it used to be. But then you have, the Rise of Digimon one's already like 28 with a market price of 42. So that one's still pretty expensive. So still all in all an expensive card. We are seeing it down. It was up at like, when Hoodiemon came out, this card was up at like $60 to $70. So it has come down a bit back to kind of, but it still sits in that safe zone. And it doesn't really like to move from there. Looking in at the Time Stranger promo pack, we see there's kind of interesting stuff happening here. All the Digimon are spiking up in price. Gomamon, $17, $18. Devimon, 14 to 16 bucks. Patamon, 13 to 15 bucks. And then 10 to 11 for a Geomon. The Tamers, not so much. The Tamers are dirt cheap. But the Digimon are the important cards now. And now that we have the set for BT24, now that we have the Time Stranger trait all over the place, we're seeing these cards rise up because now you can't get them anymore. We had our Time Stranger promo packs. It was in the month of December and the month of January. I think we got December and November, the 2 months we got these. So people had their chance to get from tournaments, and now you're kind of stuck with trading and buying. So now these cards are starting to rise up in price. We'll have to wait and see, how they go, like how many get played in certain decks, and if any of those decks tops. I think that'll really change the pricing on these. You'll see a massive spike if we start seeing top decks play some of these cards. So we'll have to wait and see, but it could get worse from here. So $10, 10 to 15 bucks isn't a bad spot. If you can get copies you want for your deck, I'd get them now, because it could get worse. It could very much get worse. These cards have fluctuated massively from, this card's been at this price twice. It's been down to 7, then back up, and then down. Same with Devimon. He's been up to 16 and then back down. So, you had lots of chances to get these for a lot cheaper. Obviously, the Tamers are not that hard to get, and I don't know how much these are actually seeing play. So there's that as well. Of course, EX11 is coming up, and we're going to be talking about that in future videos. We got a lot of stuff to cover. We got hobby news. We got a new Liberator comic. So I wanted to check in with our main man, Terramon. This is the EX7 reduced cost Digivolution one. He's up to, because this is the alt version we have. We don't have like an alt searcher like Sangomon or Elizamon or Ghostmon. But this is the closest thing we have to that for this deck. And he's up at $40. $40 market. I'm sorry, not market. Most recent sale. Market price is only 13, but like you can see the copies there. There's not many copies. EX7's an old set right now, and with all the new cards that we're getting for this deck, I think this is still a really, really good one. So because of the reduced Digivolution cost, so this deck is going to potentially get insane in price just based on this alone. The fact that it's not even a searcher, and it's already up to $40. So we can see a major spike in this. So we're going to keep an eye on this and keep an eye on a lot of the Zephikamon cards, especially with all the hype for EX11 coming in just 2 weeks. And with that, we're going to move on to our BT24. Looking at the prices, looking at where things lie on week 1. Jupitermon and Homerus being probably the two most expensive low pull rates. These are the double star ones. Homerus being closer to 500. Jupitermon 3 to 4, so a little bit less. Then we got our less kind of important, our SPs, 2 to 250. Basically on a Geomon and Danyuki, 150 to 2 on Inori, and Hiroko being the worst one, but still not a bad price at 130 to 143. So, not terrible. You got the most expensive card is your secret alternate art Homerus, followed very roughly by Venusmon, because you got 50 to 56. So Venusmon again. Venusmon's expensive 2 times in a row. Who would guess that? Jupitermon alt following a little bit there. Same kind of price range, just a little bit lower. I mean, it is only for one deck. You want to play the Jupitermon deck, so it doesn't have wide capabilities or stuff like that. In between theater, sitting about 35 to 45. This is an expensive one. It's it's an alternate memory boost card basically for the Time Stranger thing, so that's kind of a nice card to have. Starakomon up there around $43, so it's still a pretty expensive card. Dan, Yuki, and Kanan sitting around 36 to 38. This has actually gone up. It was around 20 at release. It's gone up actually. Minerva 34 to 40, kind of where you'd expect her to be. Inori's gone down quite a bit, 24 to 37. try and find it for that price. It's not going to be that easy. A Geomon, 27 to 35. This is surprising. I thought it'd be a little bit higher, but again, try to find them for those prices because everyone's overinflating this set to the max just because of the pre-release prices. Like, you got people still listing pre-release prices because they don't adjust them. They just put them in at pre-release prices. And then you're stuck with the stupid, like, hundreds and hundreds of dollars. I think this is like $80 on some Canadian sites. And it's like, oh, gosh. Neptunemon's even falling. He was around 40, and now he's around, 30 to 35. This probably keeps going down to about, like, 25. A lot of these cards will probably... and a lot of the set, I think, will like settle around 25. Like Asuna Shiroki, I just don't like. It's a really cool card. I just don't see Three Musketeers having enough steam because of just one card of support. Like, I think the whole deck needs a bit more support. So I don't know how this gets us to where we want to be with Three Musketeers. It's a great card. I just don't think it gets us there. So I think this will slowly go down to $25, $20. Homerus, the regular secret, is the better of the two. $30. It's about half the cost of, just a little bit over half the cost of buying the alt. Marukimon, I'm surprised he's this high, 27, 30. It's pretty good. A lot of these cards are just not going down in price. There's a lot of hype. Jupitermon's where things start to change. Jupitermon, this is actually lower at release. It was like $19, and now it's back up to 25 to 27. So actually, we're seeing a bump in a lot of cards. They were the lowest they were at release day, and now they're a little bit more. Some cards have gone down. Diaboromon X has gone down under $20. Crossroad Witch was closer to 40. It has gone down. It's almost $20. So you start seeing some of our alts that are just not as favorable. Then you got Titamon Skullbaluchimon. It's under 20. A Geochosmon, which I think was up around 35, is under 20. Same with a Lekmon, which was probably like 35, was now down to 16. These are, again, they're only really good in one. Actually, this is good in multiple decks, so I'm actually surprised by this, that this wouldn't be a little bit more for a searcher. The best uncommon is the new Dimetramon at $20. That's the best pre-release stamp card, uncommon. So you got Hiroko down at 13. Creepymon's nothing, like $8 to $13. Creepymon X-Antibody is one of the lowest alternate arts. You could say Hadesmon, but Hadesmon is actually pretty market price, 11. Whereas like you could probably get this for under 10. The Rapidmon winner from the pre-release event is $8 to $12, so that's not bad. And then your best super in the set, it looks like, is Danyuki or Starakomon, which I short pulled on both of these. Like I needed 2 of these and 1 of these, so whatever, didn't really make my money there. Then you start seeing your best alternate art box topper. It looks like Rudimon's about $10. And then you get into your pre-release cards, and they're all around $10, so they're not very expensive. The pre-release cards have definitely simmered. $5 for Neptunemon. You can see the prices on this stuff is very low, and and then you get into just your regular cards there. Your pre-release cards for a couple bucks each. And so you got Time Stranger Box Topper. This is the last thing we'll take a look at. So the best card for your box toppers are, Millennium Mon. Because he's like $12 to $15. Try and find him under $15, $20. And I pulled 1 of these. So, yeah. And I think the guy I got my other ones from pulled 2. So I couldn't even get a play set between 2 people pulling boxes. Then everything else is pretty cheap. Digilab's $10. Everything else is kind of under 5. So your best pull is Millennium Mon in that sense. And it's funny because like it doesn't even show you all the box toppers, because you think you'd get the rest of these, but you haven't seen any of those. I saw the petrification token, which is like $5, and then the Chaosmon is just randomly in there, but none of the other ones are. Oh, there we go. Hackmon under $1. Marukimon $1, Diaboromon $1. Like all the other supers are $1. That's just funny. I haven't seen Muchomon or Elizamon. Yeah. Seen 3 out of the 6. Oh. I think there we go. Yeah, there we go. $1. And I believe it's more money. It's slightly more, or slightly less than Creepymon regular art. That's hilarious. There's the Muchomon box topper. I think the only one I haven't seen is like Gomamon. Oh, there it is. Yeah, it's same thing. All the other box toppers are $1, so very, very cheap, not expensive at all. That is where we are at with BT24. So, you know, like the alternates are actually doing quite well. There's only 1, 2, 4, 5, 6 alternates under 20, and like 2 alternates under 10. So this set is actually doing quite well. This is a popular set. Prices on it are high. We're gonna have to see how EX11 changes this, and how things change with EX11. Is EX11 gonna be this crazy? Is the prices of Digimon cards just going up, or was this like a one-off set where things are super expensive, whereas other sets are gonna be kind of lax? Because the Liberator set is kind of interesting because it's focusing so much on the Liberator stuff that I feel like any deck in Liberator that hasn't made its mark today, that hasn't been tournament worthy, is going to have a hard time, even with the new support, is going to have a hard time potentially making use of the new support. It might, be very cheap. There might be a lot of cheap cards in the EX11. We'll have to wait and see. There's a lot of weird stuff in the EX11. We'll be talking about that when we do our set update. But tell me what you guys think about this. What do you think about BT24? Week 1, prices have gone up. How do you feel about that? Did you guys get the stuff you needed before those prices went up? Are you still looking? I know I'm still looking for an alt Venusmon and a couple alt Hadesmons. And I'm seeing copies of Hadesmon sell for like $22. And I'm like, yeah, no, I think I'm going to pay $11. Because I don't really care about Link stuff. And Venusmon is a hard card to get a hold of because it's popular, and it's, that shows in its price. But looks like that's all the time we have for this video. Thank you very much for tuning in, and we hope to see you in the next video. As always, have a wonderful day, and that is all for now, folks.